Hi and welcome back to the channel. First of all, I'd like to say a massive thank you to Richard Rouse for these super thanks. It really is appreciated. Now this is round 2 of the Matrix Champs 2022 and this round is at Larford Lakes. Now I've drawn peg 7 on Specie, which isn't peg 7 as it's having a lot of work done at Larford at the moment and it's had to be paper pegged for today. The peg I'm on is probably halfway up the chalet bank, so I'm halfway between the chalets and the end of the pool. I don't know what number that would be normally, but that gives you a rough idea. Now peg 6 to my left is an M peg and Ben Townsend's on that, so I'm already thinking I'm fishing for second as it is. As we all know how dominant M pegs are at Larford, but I've got to do the best I can and try and finish as high up in the section as I can. So the plan was fish for skimmers early and fish for carp late on, although I was always going to start by slapping the pole and having a quick chuck on the waggler to see if there was an early carp about. So I fed my short line, which was around top 6 and about 7 feet deep. I fed that with meat and corn for the skimmers, and then I've gone out with a slapping rig on with an 8mm Robin Red on the hook in the band to see if I can catch an early carp. There's some massive carp in this venue, and if you can get a few, you can build a weight quickly. So the wind was really awkward, really awkward, blowing across you, gusty, and it didn't lend to what I was doing. It didn't make it very comfortable at all, but I gave it a go. Give it a good slap about for a good 10-15 minutes until I couldn't hold the pole no more, basically, because it was just turning me around in my box. My only reward for that was 1 roach. When the flat went under, I was a bit excited, thinking maybe, but it ended up being a roach. 8mm pellet he took. Greedy monkey. So I gave it a few more slaps and it just wasn't happening. Plus I just couldn't hold the pole. Fishing 16 metres is hard work in wind anyway, but when you're trying to slap as well, you got no chance. I also have fed 8mm fishery pellets beyond the pole line for fishing the waggler, the bomb, and maybe chucking the method over the top. There you go, I can't hold that pole. It just wasn't worth doing. Being situated where I am, I can't see what's happening around me either. I can only see Ben when he's got his pole out to my left and the blokes opposite me. I can't see anybody to my right, so I don't know what's going on. I had a quick look on the method where I've been feeding with the 8mm pellets, just in case, but I never spent much time on it. Gave that 5 minutes or so and it never moved. And look, we're half hour into the match now and I've got a roach in the net. We're going nowhere. So, off that line, try something else. Just to put some fish in the net, I thought I'd get on that skimmer line and have a quick look, see if there's anything there yet. Fed some meat and corn through the cad pot and then a piece of meat on the hook to start with. It's quite deep, this venue, especially on Specie Lake. I mean, where I was chucking the method, it's probably about 9 or 10 feet deep, maybe even deeper than that, to be honest. There's a lot of water in Larford at the moment. I'm using a 4B, no, I'm using a 3/4 gram power float here, Preston Power. I could have probably gone higher, heavier to be fair, because it's quite deep water. First drop in, I've had a skimmer. Not a big one, probably about 6-7 ounce, but it's a start. Another piece of meat on. A few pieces of meat in the pot. But it was pretty slow. I never had another bite. So I decided to feed it again and leave it a little bit longer and go and have a go on the waggler and see if I can catch anything on that. Didn't seem too many fish on my short line yet. So I'm going to give it another feed and leave it alone for a bit longer. Corn and meat in the pot.
I can't see anybody here, I thought. Probably the ones off your file when you're out there.
And go and have a look on the waggler. 6 gram waggler that. And again an 8mm robin red on the hook. For anybody that's watched my videos before, I've always said I'm rubbish at getting a pellet in a band, so I've had to get the banding tool out. I'm rubbish at getting the band around the pellet. So much easier using the banding tool. Well, I find it so much easier. I keep my nails nice and trim, and no, I don't bite them, but I keep my nails nice and trim. And without nails, it's awkward trying to get a pellet in that band. The wind wasn't really right for fishing the waggler, but I've given it a go. If you didn't get a bite instantly, I'm looking to get a bite as soon as it hits the water. Any time after that is a waste of time. It's just drifting all over the place, to be fair. So I'm looking for an impact bite. So it's never in there for very long, the waggler. You don't sing the line when you're fishing this because you want the fish to come to the splash. And if you splash and then sink your line, the pellet's nowhere near where it's landed. Especially in wind like this, it's not pretty. But like I say, I'm looking for an instant reaction as soon as it hits the water. If it's not getting that instant reaction, it's out. And I'm casting again. In between firing pellets. Trying to get that waggler in amongst where I'm feeding. There's me saying that, look, an impact bite. That was sitting in there for a few seconds and it's gone down. And I've hooked a fish. But it's not what I intended to catch. But I'm still happy to get a bite on it, to be fair. least I can say I've had a fish on the waggler. And it ended up being an F1 of around £2. It'll do.
Well, that 100 bloody bent round when I hooked it. I thought, go on. Absolutely.
Another 10 minutes, about another 30-40 casts. No more bites. Never mind. Get back on the pole and try and put some more skimmers in the net. And at last the fish have turned up. So I'll spend the next hour or so putting skimmers in the net. They're not massive fish. It's just the odd bigger one. But they're all around that size, like peas in a pod, to be fair. Looking back on the match, I don't think I got the skimmer feeding right, to be fair. I know Ben on the MPEG used loads of hemp, fished hemp and meat, and he put lots of hemp in, and he caught a better stamp of skimmer than me. And I know Lloydie, that was 2 pegs to my right, he fished same as me, meat and corn, but he put more meat in than corn. I put more corn than meat in, and they've both caught more skimmers than me. So I never got it quite right on the day. There was still fish to be caught, but perhaps I wasn't catching them as quick as they were. So I never got the feeding quite right on it. Both of those caught bigger skimmers as well. Maybe that meat and that hemp has brought the bigger skimmers in. I don't know. Well, it must have done. Whereas mine were a bit smaller. Still feeding them pellets and hoping that some carp come into the feed. I did actually catch a carp on this line during the match, but it was only a very small one. It was probably one of the smallest carp in the whole venue. That wasn't it, by the way. You'll notice I'm using a really big landing net head. That's just in case the carp do turn up, because there's some big fish in here and I don't want to be messing about with a small pan, trying to squeeze them into a small pan. So lots of skimmers over the next hour or so. I've switched to corn hook bait, and that seemed to be the best one, but I'm still feeding lots of corn. Perhaps I shouldn't have fed so much corn. I should have fed more meat, but at least I'm putting some fish in the net, ticking over nicely. Just the odd better size skimmer mixed in amongst them. That one's a pound or so. Well, the bite slowed down a little bit, so I've decided to feed it again and go and have another look on the waggler. See if any of them carp have turned up in that feed I've been catapulting out. And also, Ben to my left has had a fish down his edge already. It's only an F1, but it's prompted me to feed one of my edge lines. My edge lines are quite shallow towards the bank, so if anything turns up, I'll see them there. So I put a couple of 3 pots down my left hand edge. My right hand edge, I plan to just feed dead maggots there to see if either one would work. Now while I'm waiting for that to do its magic and hopefully pull some fish in, I got back out on the waggler for a bit. Spent another 10-15 minutes throwing the waggler. And I had a couple of bites. I missed a couple of bites, I should say. That's got me thinking, have I got carp here? Don't usually miss many bites with carp, to be fair. Maybe it was F1s.
Don't get a fucking bite, come on. Look at that, they went down straight away. Yeah.
Missed another bite. There's definitely something there. Now I've picked that up to reel in. Float hasn't moved, and yet there's something on. Again, it's not a carp. It's not an F1 either. It's a £2 hybrid. Nice fish. And that was the last bite on that. So back on the pole. Give that edge line a bit more feed. Nothing's shown up yet, so give it a bit more feed, see if that brings anything in. I'm using match method mix here, my favourite commercial ground bait. Couple more pots in.
Game over now.
That hasn't done anything, to be fair, up to yet.
Aye?
Now I'm going to start feeding my right hand edge with some dead maggots. So a pot full of maggots. The depth is a little bit tighter into the bank on this side. It's about an inch or two deeper than the left hand side, and get a nice flat spot tight into the reeds. Back on the skimmer line, see if I can catch a few more. And just hoping that some carp turn up. We're perhaps into the last 2 hours of the match now. Ben next door's managing to catch some bream and some F1s in his edge line. His edge is a lot deeper than mine, it's around 3 feet deep. So I'm thinking, have I gone too shallow with my edge rigs? Have I gone in too shallow of water? So I'm thinking now what to do. Well, I'm putting a few fish in the net anyway. There's plenty of skimmers to be caught though. Although, like I say, they're not very big. There are some big bream in Larford. I'm not managing to catch any of them. Still pondering what to do in that edge. There's nothing coming in that shallow water at all. Keep looking to see if I can see anything, any movement or anything, and I can't see anything happening, left or right. I've got 2 different baits in 2 different areas of the peg, and neither of them are working. So I've made a decision to get another rig out and plumb a little further out in 3 foot of water. So I've chucked the method out while I plumb up another line in deeper water. I'm not going to go to my left where I've put all that ground bait, because if some carp do come in, that could get a bit messy. So I'm going to plumb it to my right. I need a top kitten too. See what I can find. See if I can find 3 foot of water. Right, now I'm going to sort it out and keep my eye on that rod at the same time. I've only got 2 top kits with Dura 17 in. One's got the slapping rig on, which is this one. I'm taking the slapping rig off because it was just a waste of time. The wind was too strong for it, and I wasn't getting any bites on it anyway. So taking the slapping rig off, putting another edge rig on so as I can get into that 3 foot of water comfortably. That's a 4x14 carp shallow float. And I'm putting a now 19 hook length on with a size 12 XSH on. Proper man's gear. If I hook anything, I want to get it out. So there's no messing about.
Oh, I've got 26, 27 feet. I've got more skimmers. I've only got one or two skimmers.
You gotta plumb it on and have a look for.
I'm just putting the deep water out. I'm just putting the deep water out. See what happens. I don't know if it goes 3.5, but that's 2.
And I find about half-metre out from the bank, it drops down to 3 foot, and I found a lovely flat area, and it just feels dead right. This was a turning point in the match for me. Hook a fish while I'm plumbing up.
Gone round at least. So I've had one on the tip. So I've caught on the wag and on the tip. Now bigger than the fuckers I've had on the short pole.
About the same size as the ones I was catching on the pole.
Tiny.
Not very big,
6, 7, 8.
but still welcome. Chuck that out again. Finish off plumbing up.
Well, I'll sort that with you.
I haven't got that clipped up either, in case I do hook a carp and he wants to run. Right, finish off plumbing up. As I said, I found a lovely flat spot. Trim the rig down to size so as it's all nice and compact. The main line of this rig's 021 reflow power. I always wet my loop tyre when I'm tying loops in line. Right, that rig's all ready to go. Just got to feed the line. So I'll fill the pot up with dead maggots, dead reds they are. Good helping, there's loads of maggots in there. That's the big pot, that is. Just drop that down while I reel in. I've got my jumper on as well. Temperature's going a bit cooler. Now it's time to feed that line. Let's see if that works. Also continuing to feed that edge line to my left with ground bait, just in case. But I've still not seen a sign of a fish coming in there. And to be honest, I'm sitting there thinking I'm not going to see anything there. Thinking it's just not going to happen. Refeed my short line. I'm going to have a quick look down my left hand line in case something sneaked in without me noticing it. Just to see if there's anything there. I've put 2 pieces of corn on the hook. And I'm laying it just up the shelf away from where I put that ground bait. I try not to feed directly over the top of where I'm fishing when I'm fishing ground bait in the edge. I always feed the ground bait a little tiny bit further out. I don't get a single indication there. It's 10 minutes since I put those maggots in, so it's time now to have a look, see if anything's turned up over it. Give it a quick feed on that left hand line first though. At the minute I feel like I'm just wasting ground bait. But it's not going on with me. And if they do turn up on it, it could be great. Right then, time to go on my right hand line where I fed them maggots. Put 6 maggots on the hook. All tail end first, the thin end first, so it leaves more hook exposed. I'm going to have a look if there's anything turned up. It just feels like I'm going to catch fish here, to be fair. And it's not in there too long, and I have a bite. And it's the biggest bream I've hooked all day. Lovely fish. It's got to be nearly £3, that fish. I'm thinking to myself, I'd be quite happy catching these, to be fair. Putting a big cab pot on so as I can feed some maggots every time I go out there. And I'm filling that up with maggots. So there's a good portion of maggots there. Drop the maggots in, follow it in with the rig. 6 maggots on the hook again. And it's not too long before I have another bite. This time it's the intended species, but not very big. Yes, a carp. It's only a little now, a couple of pound.
Well, this is fighting like an F1, I think. Little car.
But after this one, things start to get really interesting.
They're £2.5. No, £2.
£2.5 maybe.
Hey? Presentation, mate. Walked into it there.
Just blackening off the tip of my float there
I'm all than you deserve.
to make it a little bit easier to see in that white water.
Giving me grief. I can say I've had a car up down the edge. Little blacken he is.
Another 6 maggots on the
Really
hook.
dark, blacken. Yeah, I don't need them, the amount of fish you're catching. Bagging here.
Fill the pot up again. Drop them in. Put the rig in behind it. Like I said, it's lovely and flat there. And Bosher. Proper carp. That's more like it. Although he's not going anywhere, I can feel he's a heavy fish. That 17's doing its job lovely.
Don't feel like it looks right, to be honest.
That 17's doing its job lovely. Still glancing over to my left hand side, see if there's anything turned up yet. This is a proper fish. These carp kits of these Preston poles have got so much power. So strong. In the net. Get in there, big boy. That's more like it.
That's swim nowhere either.
That's what I'm after. A few of them now. There's about an hour and a quarter left. If I can get a run of them now to the end, I'll be very happy. Still got a lot of life in him. Well into double figures he is. Even though I'm using a big landing net pan, I can't get him out of it.
Oh, get him out me landing net. Woohoo! I'll be about £10 behind you then. No, don't do that. Really?
Feed that left hand line again.
To me, tomorrow way. Huh?
Because now I know at least some fish are coming close into the edge. See if I can pull them up that shelf on that left hand side. Try and force them up. I'm not going to do anything different on my right hand line now. I'm going to carry on doing what I'm doing because that has just caught me 3 fish for about £20.
Come on, boys. Let's
Almost doubled my weight. Back in that right hand edge with 6 maggots on the hook and a cad pot full of maggots. The large cad pot.
Not a prayer. Tell you what, if they all fly like that, lovely, proper well behaved, isn't they? Yeah, I haven't gone nowhere, never sitting in the net.
Wasn't in there too long and I was in again. About a minute and a half it was in there. Bang. Here we go. Now it's getting really interesting. Another big fish. This one's a little less happy. Another big fish. Now I've definitely doubled my weight. The last 2 fish. I'm looking at around £50 at the minute with an hour to go.
Hey? Say again? Huh?
This one won't sit still for me to unhook him.
Sit still.
There we go. Another big boy. Happy days. Swung that feeder rest out the way. Now no way am I going back out there now. Now I've got them coming in the edge. I'm going nowhere else. Just checking nothing's moved. Everything's still in place. Another cad pot full of maggots. And another one. Another big fish. And this one's not happy at all. Just stripping my elastic back out there. I have it hanging out the side of the pole, so as when a fish does want to run, I watch that elastic at the side of the pole. If that starts slipping through the bung, I know I've got to put a section or two on. And if it has pulled it out, once I get the fish back to within range, I always get that elastic back halfway up the bung. At least 6 inches of elastic hanging outside. It's just an insurance policy, just to make sure that I don't bottom out that elastic before I get some sections on. Or if I know it's close to bottoming out, then I'll put some sections on. It's just a visual guide. And it helps you to react that little bit quicker when a fish decides he wants to do one.
Come on, me babbies.
Another big fish. So that's 3 carp. The last 3 fish I've had have gone £40. So I'm now on about 60 odd pound. And I'm still feeding that left hand line and I've still not seen anything come in.
No signs of nothing coming in down that left hand edge.
But I've got a feeling something will at some point. Back on the dead mags. See the elastic hanging out the side of the pole there? I say 6 inches, there's probably a foot of elastic hanging out the side of there. But that's like an extra insurance policy, that is. Having that hanging out. I tend to do that with most of my elastics. No bites this time, so I decided to give it another big pot of maggots. See if I can drag something else in. And while I give that 5 minutes to settle down, I'll have another quick look down that left hand edge. Good dollop of maggots. Another couple of pots of ground bait, and I'm going to go straight on it and see if I can catch anything. And see if it's brought anything in. Try a worm on this time. Give it a quick slap on the water and that stuns them, that else it stops them wriggling. You don't want them wriggling and curling up over your hook point. And again, no bites. So they're still not coming to that shallow water. So back out on the maggots in 3 foot. I'm not going to put any in the pot this time because I've already fed a big pot full. I'm just going to go straight over the top of it. It's not in there too long. And we're in again. Happy days. Another big fish. There you go, the elastic's starting to slip away again, so I'm putting some sections on just in case. Follow him out a bit. Stops his run. Gets him back under control. Pull that elastic back out that bung and then start feeding elastic back. And there's another one. In the sprout bag. Another big boy. Another unhappy fish.
Yeah. Big boys in here, aren't they?
Starting to run out of maggots now. Because putting that pot in, that big pot in, got a bite quicker. Thought I'd try it again and see if I can get an instant response this time. I was hoping for an instant response on that feed. It was clear that I needed to feed it and leave it for a little bit to wait for something to turn up. Going straight on a big pot wasn't the right thing to do. No response off that feed, so we're giving it another pot and I'm going to go back down the left hand edge again. Opening up some more maggots. Feed that left hand line again. I'm determined to catch a fish in that left hand edge. I have started to see the occasional fish come in there, but the only time I see them is when I'm playing a fish out my right hand edge. And by the time I finish playing that fish, there's nothing there again. Crafty little buggers. And still no bites there. Not a touch. Not even a bream. But I'm going to keep feeding it. Trying to drag something in. Oof. That wasn't in there too long. And yet again, it's a big fish. It's great when it's like this. No liners or anything like that. Just sits there, gone. Bang, big fish. No indications there's any fish there at all until the float goes under. Half hanging out the net, this one. That's a 15 pounder.
Barely up to you one. Yeah.
Another cad pot full of maggots.
Not meant to be nasty or anything, but good. I said not meant to be nasty or anything, but good.
Epic. Another big fish. What an end to a match. This last hour has been amazing. That 17 Duraslip. It's the best edge elastic I've ever used. I've had some right lumps on this elastic over the last couple of years. Times them ever so well. And coupled up with heavy lines and proper hooks, they don't really stand much of a chance. Get in that net. Not quite. He's having another run. It's the X90 pole, this is. The top of the range Preston pole. It's a stronger pole as I've used, to be fair. It's easy capable of handling these big fish. I know I'm not using a lot of sections there, but I have caught at 16 metres slapping with this pole, as you've seen in previous videos. And I've got no worries about using it anywhere. I've got complete confidence in it. Big fish or little fish, just doesn't phase it. And these top kicks are second to none. In all the time I've been with Preston, which is getting on for 5 years, I've never broke a top kick. And I think that's phenomenal. I'm still using some of the original ones I had when I joined Preston. Alright, I have upgraded some when I've had new poles and that, but I've still got some which I had when I first joined them, and they've been brilliant. Not had one break, not a single one.
So what you got now then? Maybe you have like a big double.
Let's hope we got time for one more. Getting close to the end of the match now. And I'm running out of maggots. So it's time to open another bag. But we're really late on in the match now. I didn't really want to open these maggots. Didn't want to waste them. But still, saying that, if I could get one more bite on them, it was worth doing. Could be the difference between winning the section and not. So get them open.
Yeah, that one bent down the edge. All right. In the car. Oh, brilliant. Right? Oh, brilliant.
Need to get some more in there. They could have cleared me out, to be fair. We're late on in the match now. Hopefully I'll drag a fish in before we finish. And it has done. Get in there. What a day's edge fishing. Well, what an hour's edge fishing, basically. It was beautiful. Love catching big carp.
Oh, he's going to smash there, this one is.
This one's doing a runner. Sticking a couple of sections on, gets him back under control.
Down that left hand edge, you're going to find another one. Well, down there now, a little tiny one.
And this is the last fish of the day. Big powerful fish, this one. What an epic end to the match. That last air was phenomenal down that edge, in that 3 foot. So glad I decided to get another rig out and plumb another line up. Although I have seen odd fish come in that left hand edge, they've only ever been when I've been playing another fish, and I've not been able to get a bite over it. If I'd have just carried on doing that, I'd have ended up with nothing. I'd have ended up with just the skimmers that I caught in the first few hours. Skimmers and an F1. The definite turning point was me plumbing that 3 foot line up. I'm not rushing with this fish because it's the last fish of the day. I haven't got time to go in and catch another one. Plus he's still very lively. And it's the biggest fish of the day. The paddle on that fish. And he's in. Get in that net. And there you go, they're all out. Nearly 16 pound this fish. 15.10 he weighed. What a beautiful fish. Epic.
I enjoyed that last day or so.
So when the scales got to me, 60 odd pound was winning the section. I knew I'd got 100 plus pounds. Wasn't quite sure how much over 100 I'd got, but I knew I got 100. So my skimmer net went 25 pound. Like I said earlier, I didn't get the skimmer fishing quite right. There were 2 other anglers in the section that both caught more skimmers than me. Bigger weights of skimmers. If them carp hadn't turned up for me, I'd have been off the pace. But they did, so oh well. Something to think about next time, maybe. There's 3 carp in that net. £42 two with 3 carp. Just shows how big they are.
Yeah, don't bother weighing out one in, mate. Yeah, right. 60.
We ended up taking a fish out of this net because the scales get to £60 and it just about went over £60. So we just took one fish out. I had a picture with this net. I think there were 5 carp in here. A couple of smaller ones. The one I caught on the pole earlier on, and then the one I had in the edge, which was like £2.5, and the rest were all double figure fish. Lovely big fish. Now this last fish we weighed £15.10. That's the one I caught after opening that bag of maggots. If I hadn't have opened that bag of maggots, I might not have had him. Definitely did the right thing. Ben on the end weighed 60 odd pound. Him and Lloyd were joint second in the section. I think they had £66. So that got me the all important section win. And the added bonus to that was I actually won the match. So a nice £500 in my back pocket to go home with. Happy days. So that's 2 rounds in. I'm on 3 points. So let's hope we can keep it going. If you enjoyed watching that, give it a thumbs up. And if you'd like to see more like this, please subscribe. Cheers.
What they say?